Hello and welcome back to another Magic the Gathering EDH deck tech idea. Today we are taking a look at Arcadis, the Strategist. It is a 4-mana 3/5 flying vigilance, and whenever a creature with Defender enters the battlefield under your control, draw a card. Furthermore, each creature you control with Defender assigns combat damage equal to its toughness rather than its power and can attack as though it didn't have Defender. Arcadis brings a very unique playstyle to the table as you play with a bunch of walls and other defenders, which will at some point swing for the win because they have a huge amount of toughness, and due to us being in band colors we also got a bunch of interaction. But first of all we want to ramp out Arcadis to profit from its card draw ability, so we play cards like Search for Tomorrow, a 3-mana sorcery, search a library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield and then shuffle. You can also suspend this card with 2 time counters on it for 1 green mana, which is already a really powerful turn 1 play, because if you keep hitting your land drops you can already bring out your commander on turn 3. We play Vine Trellis, a 2-mana 0/4 defender, and you can tap it to add 1 green mana to your mana pool. This is a great mana dock in the early game, and later on it will still be a 4/4 as soon as you have Arcadis on the battlefield. We play Nature's Law, a 2-mana sorcery, search a library for a forest card, put that card onto the battlefield and then shuffle. This will either be one of your Surveil lands or your Triumph and will accelerate you really nicely and also fix your mana base. Where you play Overgrown Battlement, a 2-mana defender with 0/4, and you can tap it to add 1 green mana for each creature with Defender you control. We play Farseek, a 2-mana sorcery, search a library for a Plains, Island, Swamp or Mountain card, put it onto the battlefield tapped and then shuffle. We also play Sylvan Caryatid, a 2-mana 0/3 with Defender and Hexproof, and you can tap it to add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. Once we have accelerated in the early game and brought out Arcadis, we want to play a bunch of powerful walls. For example, Wall of Denial, a 3-mana 0/8 with Defender, Flying and Shroud. This untouchable wall will prevent you from taking any damage and can also clap your opponent's back for 8. You play Shield Wall Sentinel, a 4-mana 1/3 with Defender, and when it enters the battlefield you may search a library for a creature with Defender, reveal it, put it into your hand and then shuffle. We play Ruined Sealed Wall, a 3-mana 0/6 with Defender, and you can tap it to Surveil 1 to go even deeper through your deck. You wanna flash in Jeskai Barricade, a 2-mana 0/4 with Flash and Defender, and when it enters the battlefield you may return another target creature you control to its owner's hand. This can protect Arcadis from being removed, or you just take back one of your other creatures that has a powerful ETB effect to replay it in your next turn, and also along with that ETB trigger get another card draw trigger from Arcadis. You play Wall of Frost, a 3-mana 0/7 with Defender, and when it blocks a creature, that creature doesn't untap during its controller's next untap step. We also play Drift of Phantasms, a 3-mana 0/5 with Defender and Flying, and it also has Transmute for 3 mana. This means that you can pay 3 mana and discard this card from your hand to search a library for a card with the same mana value as this card. Arcadis is one of the decks where it makes sense to play a bunch of Boardwipes with certain conditions. For example, Slaughter the Strong, a 3-mana sorcery, each player chooses any number of creatures they control with total power 4 or less, then sacrifices all other creatures they control. This might turn into an asymmetrical Boardwipe, simply because all of your walls have 0 power, and you just have to pick Arcadis, so you got 4 or less power, while your opponents have to sacrifice a lot more creatures. You play the Battle of Bywater, a 3-mana sorcery, destroy all creatures with power 3 or greater, then create a food token for each creature you control. This card will not only clear the board of all powerful creatures, but it will also leave you with a bunch of food tokens because all of your walls will survive this spell, and maybe before it resolves you can still slip out the back Arcadis. You play Fell the Mighty, a 5-mana sorcery, destroy all creatures with power greater than target creature's power. And last but not least we also got Expel the Interlopers, a 5-mana sorcery, choose a number between 0 and 10, destroy all creatures with power greater than or equal to the chosen number. I have just talked about the fact that Arcadis might not survive some of these board wipes, but as I have said we are in band colors so we can play a bunch of useful interaction. For example, Flawless Maneuver, a 3-mana instant, if you control a commander you may cast a spell without paying its mana cost, and creatures you control gain indestructible until end of turn. Clever Concealment is a really good card in this deck a 4-mana instant with Convoke, and any number of target non-land permanents you control face out. We also got Heroic Intervention, a 2-mana instant, permanents you control gain hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. We got blue in our color combination, so we also play counter spells. Arcane Denial, a 2-mana instant, counter target spell. Its controller may draw up to 2 cards at the beginning of the next turn's upkeep, and you draw a card at the beginning of the next turn's upkeep. We played the original counter spell, a 2-mana instant, counter target spell, and if our opponent tries to wipe the board, we also play Eerie Interlude, a 3-mana instant, exile any number of target creatures you control. Return those cards to the battlefield under their owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. This will protect your board from being wiped, and due to Arcades seeing all of your walls enter the battlefield, you will also draw a bunch of cards. You want to win more? You get it. We play Brave the Sands, a 2-mana enchantment, creatures you control have vigilance. Furthermore, each creature you control can block an additional creature each combat. Giving all of your creatures vigilance is extremely helpful in this deck, simply because the pure intention of walls is that they can keep blocking, but if you also attack with them, they lose their original purpose. But by giving them vigilance, you can attack with them and also block with them. And last but not least, we also play Ramma's Echoer, Ancient Shield, a 4-mana legendary artifact, and whenever you cast your second spell each turn, draw a card, then create a 0/3 white wall creature token with Defender. Furthermore, at the beginning of combat on your turn, creatures you control with Defender gain Exalted until end of turn. Alright guys, these were a few cards that I would play in Arcades, the Strategist. Let me know down in the comments below which cards you would add to the deck, which legendary creature I shall feature next. Make sure to check out my full deck list in the notes below, and then I would say see you in the next one. Goodbye guys.